Hey, what's up everyone? Thanks for tuning in. Today I just have a quick video here, tutorial if you would, on how to replace your stock PTFE Bowden tube with a Capricorn Bowden tube. It's a great upgrade. It'll help your printer run a lot more efficiently, get better prints, and just improve the overall quality of any 3D printing that you do. So without any further ado, let's get started. Again, thank you for tuning in. Today we're going to be doing a very, in my opinion, necessary upgrade to really any 3D printer that uses a factory Bowden tube. The reason behind this is you can get basically what's called heat creep within your factory Bowden tube. This little white tubing here, hopefully you can see that. We'll get better view once we move in and actually change it. This has a very low thermal rating, so you can get what's called heat creep. So basically the way your 3D printer works is, I'll open the Capricorn tubing here to kind of give you a better visual. But basically you have this tubing that runs from the guider or the driver, whatever you want to call it, to your extruder. And essentially you have a hot end, and you have this tube that goes into your hot end, and it's fastened in place up here, and then you have your nozzle which extrudes the filament. Well, what happens is these factory tubes are very thin and they have a lower thermal rating. These Capricorn tubings are a lot higher. I believe the factory tube, the tubing, it's around like 225, 230, might be a little bit higher. But essentially what happens is this part that goes into the hot end, it basically starts to swell and you get what's called heat creep, where the heat rises up the tube. So what happens is as the filament comes down, instead of heating down here, it starts to heat up here. It can cause the tube to kind of rise, it can cause clogs, and you get what's called under extrusion. So you may get these sporadic lines within your print instead of it looking all uniform and smooth. That's called heat creep, and it's very, very common with these factory PTFE tubes. They work for a little bit. I've had this cr10s running. It's all stock for probably about 5 or 6 months, and it's just time. I'm getting a lot of clogs. I'm getting under extrusion. I've taken the tube out and cleaned the nozzle, and it just keeps happening. So it's just time to get a better Capricorn tube, which is, if you go on any of the forums or the boards, everybody recommends them. They're a lot firmer. The channel is a little bit more narrow, so it guides the filament a lot better. It also has a lot better lubricity, so again, it's just smoother guidance for the filament when it's coming through. So very, very highly recommended upgrade for your any printer. Now, what a lot of people recommend doing is also replacing the nozzle. I do have extra nozzles here. However, I'm not going to replace the nozzle today for one of two reasons. One, on your nozzle you have what's called a silicone sock that helps keep the heat in. It's just something that's required on that little nozzle. Those haven't come in yet. But two, the factory hot end, it's just cheap aluminum, and a lot of times what can happen is when you're removing the nozzle, because it just threads in like a screw, you can actually strip the threads on the hot end. I don't have an extra hot end. I'm going to order an upgrade just in case if that one breaks. So today we're not going to be changing out any nozzles or anything. We're just going to be changing out the Bowden tube. And in all reality, if your nozzle is okay, it's not damaged, there's really no need to change it unless you want to go bigger. I did order a kit here that has a whole bunch of different size nozzles. It's always good just to have extra parts, so that's kind of why I ordered them. So really what we want to do today is kind of break down how to change this Bowden tube, and just really just show you how easy it is and necessary it can be to help improving your print. So I'm going to readjust the camera here and just kind of show you guys how to swap out this tube, and we'll go from there. Alright, so here we are with a better view of the printer. So the first thing you want to do is preheat your printer. I've just turned it on and preheated it to about 190 degrees. Obviously you don't want any filament in it. The reason why you want to preheat it is just to relax this tube. Obviously as it gets warm, it's not going to be as rigid, it's going to pull out a little bit easier. And we don't know what's going on inside this hot end. There may be filament. If it's obviously cold, the tube may not pull off as well. God forbid the tubing breaks off in there, then you have to replace the whole hot end. So always warm it up. So it's been warming up for about 5 minutes here. First thing you want to do is just replace your compression clip here. It sometimes can be difficult to get off, so just pop that out, put it off to the side. And then all of your printers come with this little wrench here. It's for eccentric nuts and tightening of certain things, so you want to use the larger end here. And basically you just put this on. And it will loosen. Now, if you want, you can take this fan cover off. I don't like doing that though, because I don't like the fan spinning and then possibly hitting something. And be careful, because these wires right here from your hot end, you don't want to penetrate those or damage those or anything. So it's just a slow process right here in getting this off. But once you get it to a certain degree, usually you can start to loosen it with your fingers. Once it's loose, like I said, the last couple threads there, you just have to do it with your fingers. Okay, so now it's pretty much loose. So then what you want to do is kind of push on this and it'll start to pull up. And then the whole tube will come out. So you can see on this tube there's some black stuff, and that was under extrusion that's been happening. You can also see, I don't know if you can tell from the video, the tube's a little bit warped. So that's a definite sign of heat creep. So it's definitely time for this particular tube to be swapped out. So once you have that done, you need to then loosen this bolt right here. Try to get you a shot of that. This one here. And you want to go real slow on this. Same thing, anything on here, whether it be on the hot end or on there, if you go too tight or too hard, you can strip the threads there, which you don't want to do. So this one uses the larger, the back one uses the smaller. So and I also remove that clip, put it off to the side. Your clips are two different sizes too. This is the clip from the hot end. This is the clip from the opposite end. You can see that one is larger than the other. So it's not too hard to, if you get those mixed up, to figure out which goes to where. So then basically what you have to do is cut off these zip ties here, and then just cut your new Capricorn tubing. So I'll readjust the camera here, cut those off, and show you how to size the tubing. Alright, so after you've basically just snipped the old tubing off, right here, you want to take the Capricorn tubing, which is right here, and basically just get it as close to the length as possible. So what I did is just kind of lined it up, and then took it all the way down, and got it right to about the same length as it was before. So What we want to do is, it's got some fitments in the bag. We want to pop those on. So we'll put those on real quick. So you basically have a different one for each end. So this one, you just kind of push it until it won't go any further. And then this one you just kind of get on, and then you just want to, when you get it on the hot end, compress it and push it as far as it'll go, and then it'll kind of lock in place. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the back end there on the feeder end and screw this in. We'll run it through and screw it into the hot end. Now when you're screwing these in, you want to make sure they thread properly, because if you cross thread any of these, you might be able to get them in, but you're not going to be able to get them out the next time if you ever have to change this tubing. So you always want to hand tighten these, and then as they thread, just kind of continue to hand tighten them. And then when you tighten this, just do 1 or 2 quarter turns. You don't want to over tighten, you don't want to under tighten. So you just want it firm. You don't want this to wiggle. You don't want anything like that. If you put this on here, you don't want this going forward or backwards. You just want it tight. So if you push the wrench forward and it won't go any further, you're perfectly tight. Obviously, if you go at the other end, it's going to loosen it, but you don't want to force this. If you strip these, you're going to have a bad day. So you want to kind of have it at the top here at maybe like a 45-degree angle, and just give it a little push, and when it stops, you're good. And then just push the tubing, make sure it's in all the way, and then take your compression clip, put that in, good to go. Now on this end here, we've got this, and we want to push this tube all the way into the hot end as far as it will go. So you can slide this up, and don't put too much force. We don't want to bend it or dent the gantry or bend the gantry or unlevel the bed here, or the axis I should say. The bed's no big deal. If you unlevel your bed, you can fix it. Let me get this down a little bit better here. Okay, so all you want to do is really, again, I'll do that again, is just kind of take this tube, line it up, and just push it. What I like to do is put my hand, I don't know if you can see, my hand is under the extruder here, and just guide it in and just push it until it won't go any further, okay? Then take the fastener there, line it up, and then sometimes you're able to kind of get this to go in with your, like, start it with your hand. It can be difficult. But again, just make sure that you're not cross-threading that. Okay, so same rules kind of apply, because again, this is a metal or an aluminum hot end. Do not over tighten this. If you're giving it a little bit of force and it stops, you're good to go. So that one's all in place. We'll put our compression clip back on, good to go. And then all we have to do is put a couple zip ties on here. So we'll do that real quick. And then you just want to check to see that you've got enough room. Again, this is why you want to disable your stepper motors. So move this all the way over. Obviously it's not going to print that far. It's going to stop right about there. You can see that there's plenty of room for the tube to move and shift. Don't mind my dirty build plate because I haven't cleaned it. But you can see everything is perfectly fine with the tube install. So that's pretty much it, guys. It's really not that hard, but like I said, it is definitely a recommended upgrade. Like I said, heat creep can be a serious issue with under extrusion. These Capricorn tubes are absolutely fantastic. I will leave a link in the subscription. I will leave a link. These Capricorn tubes are a great upgrade. They can definitely help improve the quality of your print. I will leave a link in the description for the kit that I bought. Like I said, it came with the cutters, and these are really easy. I didn't show it in the video, but basically, I mean, you just kind of put this on and turn it, and it cuts it perfectly clean. You want to use these cutters for the tube, and they come with it, because if you try any sort of like wire cutters, or if you try to use them like the snips like this, it will dent the tube and it is going to damage it. You want that completely clean and a nice uniform, even cut. So these cutters that they come with are great. It's $14.99. It does come with extra tubing after you cut it. This may or may not be big enough to use on my cr10 mini. I'm hoping it is. That would be great, so I could upgrade both of them. It should be enough. I mean, this is, yeah, it's 1 meter, so this will definitely work for my cr10 mini. So if you have 2 printers, one kit for $14.99 will get you enough tubing, and it does come with the additional fastener. So if you have a bigger printer, like 2 bigger printers, like maybe a S4, an S5, or a cr10 Max, this $14.99 kit may not be big enough for your printer. But if you have smaller printers, something like a 300 by 300 build plate, or in my case, the 300 by 220 cr10 mini, it should work for you. So I'll also do a quick video on the cr10 mini so you guys can get an idea of that. It's basically the same rules apply, but hey, content is content. So I'm gonna do some maintenance on my my printer here, clean up some of the filament messes, the zip ties that I clipped off, and clean my build plate, because I've got another print I got to do now. So thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did enjoy the video, give it a like. If you like the content that you're seeing, give me a like and a subscribe, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment in the comment section, and we will see you next time.